ladies and gentlemen, and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to the channel. As always, I am your host, Brett Murphy, and for today's video, it is going to be another movie review. And I am going to be reviewing Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. So Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is not just a long title, but also a reboot of the Resident Evil film franchise based on the extremely popular long-running video game franchise. This time around, we have a fresh new director in the chair, and Milla Jovovich is not starring. Instead, this time we have a whole new cast of characters based on their actual video game counterparts. But is that enough for a successful video game movie adaptation? Well, we're gonna find out. Before I hop into the actual review itself, I just wanted to let you all know that I have an entire playlist dedicated to all of my movie reviews. Yes, most of them are pretty old because they gave up reviewing for quite some time, but I am back at it, so this playlist will be updated regularly going forward with reviews both new and old. And so with all of that being said, let's hop right into things. The first positive is that this is by far the most video game accurate movie we have gotten from this franchise yet. It's just too bad that it took 7 movies to get here. It has locations and key moments ripped straight from the games, some of which are filled with great little details. The next positive is that it actually has some nice fan service moments. Some may feel they are a bit cheap, but if we are there to see the movie as fans of the games, shouldn't we want to be serviced? So those winks and nods and little references in the background here and there actually really worked for me because it was fun to just pick things out. Kaya Scodelario, if that is how you pronounce her name, is great as Claire Redfield. By far the standout of this movie, and it's not even close. We'll talk about the rest of the cast later. I was actually quite surprised by some genuinely creepy moments and jump scares that actually got me. And I also think that they nailed the atmosphere in this movie, and it feels very much so like the games. Now, some people may disagree with that, but I actually found there were plenty of moments where I was on the edge of my seat and felt very uneasy. Like anything could be around the next corner or pop out at our characters at any given moment. And now the last little note that I have for the positives is that I enjoyed the first half of the movie much more than the second. I found the build-up to be somewhat effective, and the tone was very well set, which is kind of strange because it seems the general consensus is that the second half is the superior part of the movie, but I found the slow build-up to be better than what we got into in the second half. Now for the negatives, and I'm just gonna come out and say it. All of the other characters, aside from Claire Redfield, sucked. All of them. The acting was wooden, their dialogue was just generic garbage, with Leon being the worst. Look, I'm not a fan of the term character assassination, but it is most definitely appropriate here. And it's not at all the actor's fault. He works with what he's given, and he's fine. It's the writing's fault. In Resident Evil 2, the video game, when we first meet Leon, yes, he's still a rookie, but he is strong, smart, and eager to prove himself. This is not at all the case with this movie version. He is a dumb, lazy, clumsy slacker. And even he himself admits to not knowing why he's even a cop at all. Nothing at all about this character resembles Leon's personality. Next is that the effects and the movie overall just feels very, very cheap. Until the end of the first trailer, I genuinely thought that this was a straight-to-Netflix movie, and that's not an insult to Netflix movies or people who are in them, but the vast majority of the time, those films do come off a lot cheaper looking. And this is probably not even on that level, in all honesty. It's not like straight-to-TV sci-fi level of bad, but it's somewhere in the middle. The storytelling is bad. Just bad. They tried to mesh together 2 full-length video games into 1 hour-and-a-half long movie, and it did not work, obviously. And the last negative is sort of a spin on something I said as a positive earlier. Now, I know that I said I actually liked a lot of the sets in this movie because it felt like they were ripped straight from the games. And that is still true for some of them. But it is wildly, wildly inconsistent. Like the Rpd Station, for instance. You walk in through the front doors, there's the front desk, the giant statue, and it looks like it's straight out of the game. But then every other room in this location feels like it's in a completely different location. And the same thing goes for the mansion. In the end, it really did feel like they tried this time. They really did try to make a good video game adaptation by bringing a lot of what we love from the video games into this movie. Some of the locations and key moments are ripped straight from the games. There is a little bit of fan service here and there that worked for me. Kaya Scodelario is great as Claire Redfield. I found there to be some genuinely creepy moments and jump scares that actually got me. I really do think they nailed the atmosphere, and I quite enjoyed the first half of the movie more than I did the second. However, all of the other characters in this movie, aside from Claire, suck. The effects and sets and really just the movie overall feels very cheap because it tried to do so much with such a limited budget and it hurts it in the end. The storytelling is just plain bad and most of the pacing is right there with it. I somewhat enjoyed bits and pieces of this movie. I know I actually had a lot of positive things to say, but that still doesn't make it a good movie. I'm allowed to enjoy things in a bad movie, and that is exactly what this is a case of. So in the end, despite a much more valiant and noticeable effort than any of the other Resident Evil movies offered up in adapting these games, I'm going to have to give Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City a 5.5 out of 10. So that is all for today's video, folks. Be sure to let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my review. And while you're down there, feel free to give it your own score out of 10 and let me know what you'd like to see me review next. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you'd like to see more content, consider subscribing to my channel and ringing that little bell icon. That way you can be notified about all of my latest uploads. And as always, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap. Hey you, yeah you, if you made it this far, just know I appreciate you, and while you're here, consider hitting that subscribe button.